I can see that.
Yeah, but not any tree. These are spruce trees, and these are just what we want.
Okay, mind how you go, John.
It's just these young tips we need.
Maybe we should open it up.
Oh, that's horrible, but it should be great in a beer.
I think it's going to be awful.
Oh, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine.
Why are we using these?
Well, this is spruce, and it is a traditional additive to beer, and we use hops nowadays.
Yeah.
But once upon a time, spruce was used, and it still is in parts of the world.
Does that mean we're going to make Christmas ale?
No, no, I think we'd have drunk it by then.
Okay.
This is all we need. We're just using this as a flavouring. I'll tell you what, it's going to be terribly healthy, because this has got a lot of vitamin C in it. I think Captain Cook used it on his voyages to stop scurvy.
Oh, right.
But if carrots have got vitamin A, this is going to be the healthiest beer that's ever been made.
Blimey.
I want 60 bottles of beer, and if John and Steve don't deliver, then leftovers night might be a dismal teetotal affair.
All right, it's our spruce.
Yeah. They do look great, don't they?
Yeah, it's an amazing smell.
Whoa, I didn't get that when we were picking them. Almost citrus.
Oranges in a DIY store, I think. Okay,
these in here?
They can go in first, because they're going to need a little bit of cooking.
And how long do we leave that in there for?
I think 15 minutes will do it. That'll get the flavour out anyway.
That's changing colour slightly, isn't it?
The spruce sprigs are boiled to give up their goodness and highly aromatic flavour, and in goes a jar of molasses.
Oh, that's lovely. Oh, that's quite hypnotic, isn't it?
Actually, this is another leftover ingredient, because this is a byproduct of sugar making.
Is it really?
Yeah.
And as it's the sugar that turns to alcohol, another 6 kilos goes in.
Hubble bubble, toil and trouble. That's really going nicely.
That's nice.
Finally, chuck in as many carrot peelings as you dare, and bring back to the boil.
Oh, that's heavy. Yeah. Well, it's a lovely colour.
How does it taste? Oh, blimey, that's sweet.
It's very sweet. That's about all you can get.
Cool to blood temperature, add brewer's yeast, and leave to ferment for 7 to 10 days. This should be a stout-like brew with a heavy hint of spruce, but will it leave us pining for more? So what's the most important food in the world? The greatest recipe ever invented? Surely it has to be bread. Its beauty, of course, is its simplicity. Or at least it used to be. What's been happening to it for the last 50 years or so, it's really pretty scary. Let's have a look at what's in this typical loaf of sliced white. Flour, water, yeast, sounds like bread, salt, just a pinch I hope, calcium propionate, hydrogenated vegetable oil, emulsifiers E481, E472A, E471, E920, whatever that is. Flavour enhancer, that's the saddest of the lot. Bread should taste of its own lovely, wholesome flour, and if you can't deliver that in a loaf, what's the point? Do we really need all this rubbish in our daily bread? Surely we can do better. You know what I think about growing veg, but I reckon learning to make your own bread can also be life-changing. Local mum Sarah Bilson has agreed to be a guinea pig in our experiment to test the transformative power of the home-baked loaf. Right, ready to go to work?
Yeah, let's do it. Don't know what I've let myself in for, but I'm very excited.
Sarah's a nursery supervisor with a 2-year-old of her own.
Before I had Daisy, cooking wasn't at the top of my list. A jar of sauce, bunged on some pasta, mix it up and that'll do. Lydia, can you come out now?
You know, knowing her family, they do make odd comments about her lack of culinary skills.
Sarah wants Daisy to eat good, healthy bread, but she's never baked a loaf in her life.
I want to feed her good food, you know, healthy foods. And if I can give her the best from things that I've made, that's much better than buying things that aren't necessarily that good for her.
Dan is our resident baker, and he's risen to the challenge of showing Sarah what dough can do for her.
Did you?
Sarah wants to learn to bake bread.
Great.
Whether she'll still feel like that at the end of the morning with you, Dan, I don't know.
Well, I hope so.
I'll be back in a few hours. It'd be nice if there was something for me to eat. Have a good time.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
A kilogram of flour is a really good batch size for bread at home.
Okay. Ooh. Gonna go over.
That's dried
Add
yeast.
10 grams of dried
How
yeast,
much was that?
Whoops.
a good pinch of salt, and 650 ml of water. And that's all you need for a simple loaf.
Sarah, I'm giving you the dubious honour of being the only person, apart from me, to use my bread mixing bowl.
It's really dirty. Do you not clean it?
Sarah, there is a bit of every loaf I've ever made in there. It's precious. Don't break it.
Just bring the mix together
It feels like Play-Doh. Oh, I'm getting a right old mess.
Push it all away.
and then knead. And this is the bit that's meant to be therapeutic.
Very fun. The kids would love it. And it's super sticky.
10 minutes steadily working the dough, and it should end up smooth, elastic, and ready for its first rise.
Exactly like that.
The yeast feeds on the flour, releasing gas as it does so. The gas is trapped in the dough and makes it rise. An hour or two should do it.
Oh, we're looking for just about double in size, I think. What do you reckon?
It's certainly a lot bigger.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then knock back the dough and shape it to rise a second time.
And the tighter ball we can shape now, the more evenly risen our dough is going to be, okay?
Okay.
Another hour or two, and you should have a well-risen loaf.
How are we going to get it out?
Very, very gently.
Okay.
And do it nice and slowly.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh.
Slashing the top allows the bread to expand in the oven without tearing.
Now, a good dousing of water.
Okay.
So that helps a really good crust.
It's baked in a preheated hot oven at 250 degrees.
Whip it away, a little bit like the dinner cloth party trick.
Yeah. Okay.
Brilliant.
40 minutes later, Sarah's first ever loaf is done.
Thank you.
Best smell in the world, Dad. And are you as excited about that smell as I am?
Yeah. That's mine.
What a beauty. Well risen. Nice and light. Oh, look at that. Look at that.
Fantastic.
What do you want to do with that?
Eat it.
All yours, Sarah.
It's delicious. Really nice.
Unbelievably good. So, job done. Not quite. Sarah's got to take her newfound knowledge home with her and see if she can make a daily loaf part of her daily life.
I have done a few experiments of making bread at home. The bread that I've made isn't actually edible. I did one loaf. It was slightly heavy. Made a good doorstop though. But then when I made another loaf, I put way too much salt in and actually made my dad sick.
But Sarah's no quitter, and today she's decided to bake bread for her whole class.
That doesn't look right, I know that. Too crumbly. I'm going to do good loaves, I am. If it takes me another 6 months, I don't care, I'm going to do it. Please do your thing. Oh, this is more mess than my bread. This is where it could all go completely wrong. You'll only really know how it's going to be when it comes out of the oven and you taste it.
Flour, water, yeast, a pinch of salt, and a little practice. That's all you need to make great bread.
Okay guys, it's tidy up time! Wow! It's huge. They've exploded a bit, haven't they? But at least there'll be plenty to go around.
And now Sarah's loaf will be judged by some of the most discerning critics in the county.
Do you like Sarah's bread? Thank you. Is it nice?
It's really nice. I really like it. It's lovely and warm and doughy. It's just perfect.
I've got more.
It was very good, it was light and it was fluffy and it had a good crunchy top. It was delicious.
Keep buttering, Claire. Oh, it's my best loaf, for sure. Certainly better than the salt disaster that we had the other day. This one's edible. Hey!
Coming up, Leftovers Night is live and unleashed, but Tim is still to be convinced.
You go to your mum's house for leftovers, don't you? You don't necessarily want to go out to dinner for it.
And I'm using up some lovely leftover lamb to whip up a delicious summer salad. Completely juicy, succulent and sweet. It's the afternoon of leftovers night, and in the canteen kitchen, Tim and I are busy transforming the weekend's most succulent scraps into fodder fit for a king.
I quite like the concept, I like the idea, but I'm not quite sure we should be quite so honest about it. Because essentially you're saying, come and have some second-hand food. You know, you go to your mum's house for leftovers, don't you? You don't necessarily want to go out to dinner for them.
But never one to duck a challenge, Tim's hoping to transform Sunday's roasties into roast potato gnocchi.
I've never tried it before. We're hoping it's going to work. So, just mincing up my roast potatoes.
Gnocchi are usually made from fluffy, just boiled spuds. But I'm excited about the roasty approach because I reckon it'll add a whole new depth of flavour. Add some finely chopped sage and thyme and a little pasta flour.
I mean, the more flour you put in, the less likely they are to fall apart. But the more flour you put in, the more likely they are to taste the flour and not potato. And you really want your potato gnocchi to taste the potato, not a flour.
3 eggs go into the mix and a little grated hard goat's cheese. How are you getting on with your gnocchi, Tim?
Gnocchi bad, yeah, gnocchi bad. I think the flavour's going to be great. I'm a bit concerned about the oil and the fat inside the roast potatoes. That's going to mess with the
chemistry.
The molecular happenings inside my gnocchi and make them fall apart.
I think I'm going to leave Tim to fret about his molecular happenings and sort out a lovely ragu to go with his gnocchi. This tomato sauce has been gently bubbling away for a couple of hours now. There's a load of garlic in there, herbs, sage, rosemary and thyme. Into this luscious tomato sauce will go all the leftover roasts from Sunday. Pork, beef, I've even got a few sausages. And it all gets minced. If there's anything left over from leftovers night, Tim, are you going to have leftovers night?
No.
You've already decided that, have you?
Well, if I do, I certainly won't be advertising it.
The last of the minced meat goes into my ragu to accompany Tim's dainty roasty gnocchi. But there's still one vital thing missing. The great unknown of the evening, Tim, is this beer that John and Steve have brewed.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's either going to be the revelation of the century or it's going to be sheer filth.
So what happens if it's really awful then?
If it's rank, I'm not even going to offer it up. The droopy brewers are cutting it pretty fine, but at least they're here with tonight's beer made from carrots and Christmas trees. Oh, it's got a pop on it.
That's good.
My God, is it meant to be that colour?
Looks like someone's drunk it already.